Hey guys, this is Katie from 802 Garden Gurus. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to talk about some medicinal mushrooms. Last year I harvested and dried a bunch of turkey tail, reishi, and chaga. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how to harvest those, how to properly dry them, and then how to use them. So let's get started. So here I have samples of the turkey tail, which is this one, Reishi and Chaga mushroom that I harvested myself and dried. So with the turkey tail, basically is very easy to identify. It grows prolifically pretty much everywhere. Let's see if I can get a good shot of it. There we go. So this is a very good mushroom for cancer. Preventing cancer, basically. Pretty much any medicinal mushroom or even culinary mushrooms, with the exception of like button mushrooms, which I wouldn't recommend anybody eat, are like cancer fighting. So I would recommend anybody and everybody to have mushrooms, medicinal or culinary, in your diet. So another thing about the turkey tail mushroom when you are identifying it is that the back of the mushroom, or the underside of the mushroom, I should say, has like these little dots. It's like little dots. Let's see if I can get close up there. Kind of like speckles or like pores, I guess you would call them. There is such a thing as fake turkey tail mushroom, but I find that it's very easy to tell the difference. The backs of the fake mushroom are more of like lines, and the real turkey tail mushrooms are more like dots or pores. The top is like really smooth. It's like velvety. So after I harvest these, typically with mushrooms that you harvest in the wild, whether it be, well, not all of them, but some mushrooms, like for example chicken of the woods, you would want to do a saltwater soak to get any bugs out that might be in the mushroom, because bugs live in mushrooms. That's just the reality of it. It's no big deal, but with turkey tail you don't have to do that, because as you can see, they're so small. They're not going to have any pests in them, and basically you just lay them out on a cookie sheet and put them on top of your fridge. That's all I did. And they dry perfectly. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is reishi. So this is the reishi. This is the jar of reishi. You can see it's cut up into strips. Basically how I harvested the reishi is you see it growing, and I'll put a picture in this video of what it looks like in the wild or in nature. You see it growing, you just pop it off the tree. I mean, that's really all you do. And with like the baby reishis, which again, I'll put a picture of some baby reishis that I saw, you can actually eat those as like food. Apparently they're really good. I've never tried it because I can't take a baby reishi. They're just way too cute, and I'd rather come back a few months later and get just one of the larger reishis. And one thing I want to say to you guys about like reishi and chaga, for example, is that you don't really want to take it all. Just take what you need. I mean, same goes for the turkey tail, but again, that's a lot more common to find. You can find turkey tail pretty much everywhere. A ton of it grows all over the place, all over the country, all over the world probably. But with reishi, and especially chaga, they're much rarer to find, and especially with the market these days, people like to find them and harvest them even if they don't need them. So back to the reishi. So once I harvest a mature reishi, which you do sometime in the fall, so like I think we harvested this one in September, so really harvesting time is anywhere from like September to October. You'll see again from the picture, they're very shiny. They almost have like a polyurethane looking finish on them. They're gorgeous out in nature. They grow near like rivers and streams. That's where we found them. And so once I harvest it, bring it home, cut it up into strips right away. So you don't want to let it dry. You really want to get it cut up as soon as possible. So I cut it up into strips, or some parts of it end up being chunks like this. And then I just do the same thing as I did with the turkey tail. I just put it on a cookie sheet and put it on top of the fridge and let it dry. Another thing you can do with a lot of herbs or mushrooms is you can put the oven on like the lowest setting possible. I think our lowest setting is like 150. So you put the oven on lowest setting, and then you just shut it off once it gets up to heat. Once it heats up to the lowest setting, shut it off. Put the cookie sheet with the herbs or mushrooms in the oven and just let it sit for the night. That's another option. I prefer in the summer, when it's really hot, I prefer the top of the fridge method. So that's reishi. The last mushroom I'm going to talk about today, which, again, there are tons of amazing medicinal mushrooms. These are the most common that people talk about and that people like to consume as food and medicine. But there are a ton out there. And I will put a slide at the end of this video with some information on these mushrooms and others as well. But this is the chaga. And I do have a video, or we have a video of us harvesting this chaga. So chaga is even more so, like, I guess on the endangered species list. You really don't want to go around harvesting it for no reason or for money. You just don't want to be doing that. I mean, we need to respect the spirit of these plants, and so we don't want to harvest it unless we need it. So again, chaga is an amazing cancer-fighting mushroom. I mean, this is like everybody should be drinking chaga tea, taking chaga tincture. So what I did with the chaga, and again, you can watch our other video, Vermont Chaga Foraging Adventure. But basically, we knocked it off the tree in the middle of winter, too, is when you want to harvest chaga. That's when you can easily find it, and that's the best time to harvest it, when all the nutrients are kind of dormant in it, because they're just kind of stored in there, very concentrated. So once we knocked it off the tree with a rock, and you only want to harvest chaga that grows on white or yellow birch trees. So we knocked it off the tree with a rock, we brought it home, and right away we broke it up into chunks. So if you let it dry before you break it up into chunks, it's basically going to be hard as a rock, and you're not going to be able to break it up after that. Now, you can still use it. You can boil it in water, a big chunk of it, and that will soften it. That's another option, but you really can't use it if you don't break it up into chunks right away. So, that's the chaga. And then basically you just, once it's broken up into chunks, you just let it dry. So same thing. I think what we did with this chaga was we actually just put it in front of our Renai heater, and we just kind of let it dry out. And you want to make sure it dries out completely. So now on using these different mushrooms. So what I really love to do with these, you can make tinctures. I plan on making a video soon about making tinctures, but there's tons of videos out there on it. You can make tea, of course, where you would just put the herb or the mushroom in, a quart of water, a good amount. Like I would say probably this little pile for like a quart of water, maybe a couple more slices, and just boil it. But it doesn't taste very good, to be honest. So what I like to do is I go to the local health food store. I get some chai walla spices, and what I have done is I grind them up, grind these up in a spice grinder, or you could use a food processor, but I like the spice grinder because I can do just small amounts at a time. Grind it up. mix it together with the chai spices, and you have a chai tea. So I love to make that and blend it with some almond milk. Delicious. Basically, you just take, like, you make the chai blend, chai spices and ground up mushrooms, and then you take like 1 or 2 tablespoons per quart of water, put it in a pot to boil it, and there you have delicious chai tea. Just add whatever milk or plant-based milk of your choice. It's really delicious and so medicinal for us. So that's my video on mushrooms. I really hope you enjoyed it, and please subscribe and let me know in the comments below if you liked this video, and if you want to see more like it, please let me know. We're here to share all of our knowledge related to mushrooms, related to plants, gardening, all kinds of things. So please comment, like our video, subscribe to our channel, and we hope to see you again soon.